Welcome, friends, to a new episode of Mind Speaks, Soul Listens. The views and opinions expressed by the speakers in this recording are solely based on their own individual perspectives and experiences. They form only part of the truth, and we strongly encourage listeners to form their own conclusion based on their own living experience. Okay, welcome to today's episode. We have Sister Tanya from Germany. She'll be joining us in this conversation. Sister Tanya has been on this path for almost all her life. And she comes on this conversation to share her experiences, and hopefully we can have a spiritual conversation together. So, I have Sister Tanya on the line. Tell me, Tanya, how long have you been on this spiritual journey?
Thank you, Takin, and thank you, Nay, for inviting me for this conversation. I can't tell in years. I'm not sure for years to count upon this spiritual path. So because I think I can't not only think about this life. I'm sure there are other lives that I should count on that too.
Right.
But what I can remember from this life was like questioning questions, spiritual questions. I remember me doing that from young age. So I think 14, 13 years old.
Yeah, but what
child.
kind of question did you have? What kind of question?
Yeah, it was, I remember that one day there was a, how do you say it in English, a cruise?
A cruise.
Cruise from Jesus was hanging on the wall, and it was hanging there across. And it was hanging there for several years, and one day I went to this cross and put it from the wall, took it from the wall, and then looked upon this cross for a long time. I was just looking. I think there was an eternal conversation going on, because I was really drawn into that. And I remember then that suddenly my mother woke me up from this point and said, "Oh, you can talk also to me. You don't have to talk to him." And I thought, oh, what is she talking about? Because I didn't realize that I was so drawn into this cross. So this is what I remember, and then I remembered also that I had vivid dreams after that, So this is the first thing that I remember. Yeah.
Right. So all your life you've been searching or seeking for, on the path of spirituality, or were you more into the religion that you were born in?
I was not really born into one religion, because my family was Christian, but it was different kinds of Christianity.
Right.
And we didn't have like rituals, or we didn't went to churches or so.
Right.
But my mother told me a lot of mystic events from her early childhood,
right,
from the places where she lived. So this made me think a lot
right,
about what is real and what is not real.
right.
What are ghosts? So my questions were about ghosts and afterlife. What is there after we are dying? So because she told me a lot of things about people who appeared after their death, and me myself, I saw a ghost when I was very young, and I never told anybody because I was so scared that something will happen if I tell somebody.
Right.
And so this was the only time and yeah, it was a lot of questions about afterlife, after death. Yeah.
Right. Great. So you have a lot of questions when you were young. So for today's episode, what are some of the questions that you you have prepared or you would like to talk about?
Yes, I prepared something, and of course,
Right.
the question that I prepared are, of course, dealing also with my experience or with my
Right.
questions, and but most of them are dealing with experience that are that I've made recently, or the last, what do I say, 3-4 years, so like that. They are not old in that way, but I think telling them and writing them down, I realized, okay, this has to do with my whole life, and also, I'm sure, with past lives.
Right.
So I will put this one first.
Yeah.
I'm very much too into the nervous system, and what is DNA, what about the nervous system, and so. And my question is, what is the DNA? How come that we look like we look? Where was this body designed?
Well, you ask very interesting question, right? I have a chance that I was away on a silent retreat, which is practicing the technique of vipassana according to Buddha. So I have a chance to look inside myself for the whole 10 day. But that 10 day feel like 10 years to me because we truly cut off from everyone. I'm not allowed to look at anybody. I have private accommodation. We meditate to 8 to 12 hours a day, right? And meditation, we do group meditation 3 times a day, which is 3 hours. And after that, you have your own time where you can practice in your room. And they have a concept of a cell. A cell is like a mini cave that they built, and when you enter, it's total dark with some kind of air vent that you can breathe. That's all. So when I go into that meditation and I try to use the cell facility, I found that I can look inside myself in the deeper and deeper level. Like you ask, what is DNA? Why this is part of myself, right? What is a DNA, carry importance in spiritual sense, right? So at first, right, I observe the breathing. So my consciousness become very sharp. My focus and consciousness become very sharp. And then I use that as the tool, right, to observe sensation within myself. So the first sensation that come out, of course, we carry a lot of suffering or grief or anger, right, or aversion that we react in our environment, day-to-day life. Unless you completely shut off, you will never see that we are the source of the suffering. And that's so much accumulation of suffering, layers by layers, that we accumulate and build into this physical karmic body, actually. So when I start to spot a chunk of suffering, and when that chunk, I'll be able to look deeper and deeper, and then I find this record of DNA or a karmic record that hand down for many generations that build up this body. So in a simple term, I would say this DNA is like a karmic record, but is like, a tiny part of ourselves that is actually build us and determine what we're gonna look like and what we gonna be like as well. So by science, I also heard somewhere that when they study DNA, they can tell If the person have some kind of addiction, if a person can become a criminal, or if a person is a saintly person, they can read in the code of the DNA. But I feel that science will have to merge with spirituality to understand more what is the entire record of this DNA, because now they can read this DNA in very small percentage. I would say 3 to 10%. And the missing part is more than 90%. So I feel, the science have to read that more using the tools of spirituality.
Yeah, wow. I guess this is because we are looking only on the material side of the DNA. They look through the microscopes and what they are using, and they trying to find their conclusions about what they see, and from the material side. So the rest is what we don't see.
Yeah.
Or is it like that?
No, I feel they're getting there, but because they stuck using the physical tools to find the truth, in the DNA. The DNA manifests itself physically, but it's also another layers, deeper layers of spirituality, of the energy in there. So on that, I feel they have to use the tools, of the divine power, which is the soul, the observer, to observe. Then they can find the deeper meaning of DNA.
Mm-hmm. Ah, I see. Yeah. So, like Einstein said that he, at the last point of his life, he said something like that, if I clearly remember, that he always put his focus on the object and not on the observer.
Mm.
So, very interesting. Yeah, it's the same thing, what you are saying.
Mm. So, what is your knowledge of this DNA, Takin? Have you ever questioned about it?
Not in that sense, because when you mix DNA and spirituality, it's a bit interesting because from a DNA perspective, you are tracing back that incarnation of a being from a
Mm.
human perspective, right? But we all know in this cycle of birth and rebirth, we transcend species, right? Sometimes you are a cow, for example. Next time you are a bird, right? So technically, the DNA of you, that being, does not correspond necessarily to your past life, I feel. I think there is a bigger DNA at play here. I think the karmic DNA or the spiritual DNA is more interesting because somehow even your actions as a lower incarnations might affect the being of the let's say the higher order, like say as a human being, for example. I believe I think it was Yune that told me about the story of the bird that was it a bird or the bird that pecked into the eye of a dog, I think. And then maybe you can tell us that story because that to me is karmic DNA playing at its best.
Right. So that story is actually from Great Master time, right? They have a question where, okay, do blind people can get initiation, right? Do
Right.
blind or deaf people can get initiation? But the rules that they set in place is that no, if you can't see the physical master, then you cannot recognize the inner master. When master come and visit in radiant form, then they cannot see or recognize that. So, but there's a unique story that happened in India during Great Master time. There's a Hindu monk came and listened to Great Master discourse. And on that discourse, he paid great attention to what Great Master say. And when Great Master say, okay, if anybody have questions, you can ask now. So this Hindu monk, he raised up, and everybody can see that he's blind, right? But he asked a great master, "Great master, please give me initiation." And great master say, "No, I can't. You blind. You cannot recognize me when I come to visit you inside." But then this man said, "Yes, I know what you look like. I saw you in my past life." And great master said, "What do you mean?" And then this man said, in the previous lifetime, I was born as an eagle, and I live here in this compound, in this dera where you live, great master. So I saw that you look like a tall man with a white turban and white beard, and you walk around this compound, right? I recognize you. I remember you very well. But this lifetime, I'm born blind because before I die as an eagle, I just pick out an eye of a dog, right? And create great suffering on this dog before he die. And then I die right after. But because I have the darshan, or I look at your form in last lifetime and accumulate great blessing, that I can become a human and a sadhu, meaning a monk in Hindu tradition. But he said he remember that part very well, where he see this man, this tall man with white turban and white beard. So he's seeking for his whole life to come and meet with great master and seek for nam or initiation from great master. And then great master said, "Okay, if it's so, then I will give you initiation," right? So it means that the karma actually carry from one lifetime to the other, cannot just explain in the framework of our physical self. We have to read into our astral self or sensory self. And also we have to read into our mind or our mental body that at play here, the multi-layers of this physical body as well. Like, okay, you are a healer, right? You heal people by using nervous system SOS exercise, right? So when you heal, like yesterday we have conversation about, yes, it might look like you offer help and heal people physically using their nervous system, but I do believe that this healing go deeper onto their sensory body and also the body of their mind, that that acting like another two layers apart from this physical self as well. In the retreat, when I went to this 10-day retreat, there's a brother, he challenged me. He said to me, "Maha Ajahn," in Thailand they call me Maha Ajahn. "Maha Ajahn, I went to this 10-day retreat as your instructor, but," he said, "on the third or the fourth day, something remarkable happened when he observed that breathing very deeply, and then he feel that he been sucked into the portal, which is inside his physical body. So he, as the observer, observe how this body create." Okay, he said inside is a place of record, and this record might look like a box, he said, but within this box, it's not a physical box, okay? It's how his mind interpret it. He said within this box is a record of countless lifetime. He said, I would say million, inside that. And he said, unless the soul who inherit this box of karmic record play out all of this karma, the soul cannot get liberation. And I said, okay, then which lifetime you are on now? I asked him. He said,
Yes.
I'm still in the middle. He said, wow, there's still million more that I have to take birth to fulfill. But I said, see, unless you raise above this system, there's never a way out,
Yeah.
because this such a perfect system
Mm.
that make us believe that we are this body, we are these senses, we are this mind. There's no the way out. But he said, oh, Mahajan, can you take a look? I want to understand the system of karma. I said, okay, challenge accepted. Then on the second day of the retreat, when I observed the breathing, I have the same experience where the my body just come to the single point, like a single pointedness. And after that, I can see this karmic system at work within the framework of my body. But then I question, well, my experience is different than his. Because I already asked him, how do you know there's only one box that you have to fulfill? It can be, okay, you burn out the karma in this one box. Maybe another box show up. And I was very right. Because within that, I saw something flow in this infinity. Okay? In this infinity flow of the divine play, there are so many boxes floating around, or so-called a DVD by Ishwar Puriji, right? He said it's like a set of karma or a DVD that the soul picked, right? So it float in this infinity. So what happened if this brother go to another 10-day, let's say silent retreat, in order to burn this box, burn his karma, okay? So I just asked, right? I asked master, because I have inner master with me at all time, right? I can ask, I observe and then ask, okay, what happened? Show me, right? He said, okay, let's say you take out one box from this flow of infinity. Then you know what happened? Another box randomly. Okay, apart from this, in inner circle of the flow of the divine play, there are another set of karma, inactive karma, that will randomly fall into this circle of flow, okay, and replace that box. So it's like a copy paste, right? You delete one file, there's another copy waiting to come in. So this is never, there's no way we can actually win our karma or burn out our karma. It needs another divine intervention, another help from another level beyond this to help. Then I question about, okay, at the time of initiation, there's a belief that master burn out our collective karma, right? And then leave out the karma of this lifetime so we can perform our duty. And there's also a gap in between of the new karma, that when we use our free will, right, as individual, we create new set of karma, and it build the next and the next and the next lifetime. Then I feel this is such a perfect system. There's no way out. The flow of the infinity, this is our destiny karma. The sinchit karma or the collective karma is all the karma that inactive, okay? It can come in play at any time and randomly come. And the new karma is a gap in the flow of the divine play. There's a small gap. And within that gap, we, as a karmic being, as human, we have free will, and then when we decide to choose between choice A and choice B, we create consequences. So this is such a perfect trap to trap all the souls. And we never get out. And I tell the brother, I said, you know what? You will waste your lifetime to burn that box, because you can never burn unless you understand this system of suffering, this karma, and you raise above that with the help of a perfect being, of a master.
Yeah, I just want to add on that karmic explanation, great explanation, that in between that choice making, you have a period where you either can go left or you can go right. So if there is no divine intervention for you and you freely make a choice to stay in the loop, you will always choose the choice that will prolong this karmic cycle and it will create longer. But here's the thing. So from a higher level, we know that the rescuer will come, right? So the question, I always ask this question myself. In fact, I think the first time I met you, Nia, I asked this perfect question, right? I mean, not perfect question, but this question about the perfection of this whole system, and how does a master come in? So all the time, I thought that master will come in to a point, and my future life will be eliminated, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the thing: the realization is actually the opposite. Because in that moment of free choice that you make, if you make a choice that is selfish, means for yourself, high chance that you will take the choice of prolonging this karmic cycle. But in that moment, if you make a selfless choice and say, you know what, I had enough, I want to go back home, please come, right? Then you create a reason as the choice making on the other side for the grace and divine intervention to come in and exit this loop, giving you an alternate ending to your karmic character. You know, it will prolong, but it will just end. So your original choice making, which is to go to the wrong choice, which is to prolong your karma, will still continue. In an alternate universe, you will still be a character like yourself right now, but in this whole loop. But we are now traversing on a alternate universe where the rescue package comes in. So I believe this is how in the world of perfection, a rescuer comes in and sucks you out while not disrupting the play. You get what I mean? The play is not disrupted.
Yeah.
Except that you have diverted the loop that you mentioned into something else that causes you to escape, and then you'll be like, yeah, escape, right? But then again, this escape, like what Ishwaji mentioned, from a higher level, is already pre-planned. It's already meant to be like that, you know? But when we are now exercising our choice making, left or right, I know no better. So what do? I'll just like, okay, let me just roll the dice, right? But now I think, on the hindsight, knowing that this is how the system works, the easiest option would to be let master make the choice for you. Easier said than done, but this is the solution to not prolonging this road of suffering, you know, even as initiates. So that's just what I want to add on based on my limited experience of how this thing works.
Okay. What do you think about this, Tanya?
Yeah, I just wanted to click in, because what I think now is, or what is coming to my head is, when I'm looking at the perspective of a beginner on the spiritual path, of a beginner of having a master, of a beginner of this kind of seeking. If you say let's make master do make the choice for you. So this is very complicated because it confuses a new one.
Yeah.
He has no experience, eventually will come to experience, but at the beginning, maybe there is no experience like that.
Yeah.
And you, maybe if you say to him or her that, so she or he can imagine doing that, but it's still not the real thing. So what would you say to a beginner?
I mean, okay, first define reality. What's real, what's not. Okay, that's another podcast altogether. But I totally agree with you, and Ishraji did mention this. We cannot not make a choice. We have to exercise that choice, because that's how free will that's how it gives you the illusion of free will, right? That choice making. Actually, the choice making is just based on your veil of ignorance. Because you choose not to know the choice that you want to do, therefore you make the choice. Actually, the choice itself is an illusion. Okay, with that being said, like you are against a problem right now in front of you, right? And you don't know what to do, and you say, okay, master, make the choice. You cannot just sit down there and expect some magical guy to appear and make the choice for you. No, you just have to, in yourself, in your being, exercise, okay, master, I'm going to do this. And if this is the right choice, then so be it, right? If this is the wrong choice, then help me, master. That's the perspective that one should take. I feel, if you want to let master do it, it's okay to make the wrong choice. Why are we so fixated in always making a perfect choice?
It means that for the newbie, right, they have to build this relationship with master, right? So the relationship is the key then, right? When they try their best, right, to make choice, then they bring master at play, right? Okay, master, cover me. I'm gonna make a choice now, and I don't know which one is the right choice, which one is the wrong choice. Maybe both choice A and choice B that I make will just lead me to the doom, right? I don't know. Because anything that we do create consequences, right? Either you make a turn left or turn right. And there's a consequence of making that choice anyway in this karmic creation. Right? But the key element, I find that, okay, for everyone who just come onto this spiritual path, they need some kind of guidance. And if they little by little put faith on their spiritual guide, okay, and then let the one who know this road better make decision, then I feel eventually we will be able to exit that loop, providing that we make a jump of faith, right? Make a leap of faith to master to make decision for us, even we don't actually understand who is our inner guide, who is our inner master, but we forward the authority, right? The decision or our own power to exercise this will, right? To that one.
Right. I just want to add one more thing before Tanya, before you mention anything, is that sometimes the choice is not as binary as we seem to be. It's not just choose coffee or tea, right? It's not like that. Sometimes the choice making involves other people, the fate of other people, right? Like, I need to make a choice whether I choose job A or job B, for example. It will affect my family. Job A might require me to migrate. Job B might give me a higher pay but less time with the family. So sometimes when you are faced with this kind of choice, from what I experience myself, I usually choose, there are few criteria that you can have as a mental checklist. One criteria will be, does the choice bring me closer to master or the spiritual path, or take me away from the spiritual path? That's number one. Number two, if you can't even make that definitive difference, right, in the choices, then choose one that says, okay, I'm just out of this thing called love, I'm just going to make this choice based on love, right? If you really can't even use that, then say, okay, master, I know no better. This is like a roll of dice. Whatever choice making I make it in your name. Please help me after that. It's like what people do. So help me God, right? So yeah, that's all I can share.
Yeah, from my feeling, it's the same. It's the same, and the other point is that if I make so-called wrong choice, then master make it sure that I will get the way back to the right choice,
Right.
because then something will put in my way, so that it will be complicated to fulfill that choice that I was making.
Right.
So in some way, I would say it's not that it doesn't matter what choice I make, but in the end, master will fix it.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
is my experience also.
But
and
then you can make that choice, and you can have that mindset because you have living faith with your spiritual guide or so-called master. Is that right? But for those who still don't actually have anything, like zero, you know,
Yeah.
have no connection whatsoever, they've been just pushed by circumstances, let's say, to get initiation
yeah.
from a master, then they have to build up little by little.
Yeah.
That's why it is very important to look inside and outside for the clue. There's so
Yeah.
many clue, but then because our mind is so busy, we cannot pick up the clue because we so overwhelming, right? Like you ask people to do this SOS exercise, you see that their mind is very busy and distracted with multiple things at the same time, unless they can bring their attention in one point, which is meditation, right? Then they can see better what is the right choice that they need to make. So I feel this faith in a master or our spiritual guide also grow with our practice. How much you put your hours to do meditation, how much you put your hours into prayers or thinking of master or his teaching, right? Then that will become fruitful later on. When you understand that, your life will transform. At first, when you come onto the path, you might think that you're using your will, your choice, to be a spiritual person, right? To walk on this spiritual path. But then after some time that you practice, you will realize that the choice is not yours to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Master make that choice for you since the time that you take this form.
So that's very true. Yeah. So for the beginner, often they hear the sentence that they have to go with their intuition.
Yeah.
So this is the most common thing that they hear, and then problems still are there because what is intuition?
Yeah.
So another point of what somebody said to me is that if you make it a choice, then look after how it feels. Just about how it feels. Do you have a good feeling about it or a bad feeling about it? But there's also a gap in it, because if you have built up I feel used to things, to behaviors, to certain feelings, to certain emotions, then you will also make a choice upon this one that you have built up for a long time. So it can be felt easy, and it's not the choice that will bring you closer to the divine. So yeah,
I totally
you have
agree.
to build up this living faith. And my experience is from the beginning that that my master has given me always chances to build up this faith with things that he put in front of me that I have to how you say, let me think about the word, like difficult situations that I had to go through, and then ask, "Oh, Master, why did you put me in this situation?" And then the feeling came afterwards. Oh, this is why you did that, and now I have more faith in you because I could go through this situation and nothing happened to me. So and also good thing happens. You think, oh, Master, you did this, and so this is then you build up this faith with your Master.
Yeah. I think for us initiates, we always have this fixation on the result. Like, what if I make a choice and it leads to the wrong result, right? So how I in fact, I'm just going to quote from a quote that a sister posted today in the group. She says something like, when you get what you want, that's God's direction. But when you don't get what you want, that's God's protection. So majority of us, when we experience something and we make a choice and we don't get what we want, we always say, oh, I made the wrong choice, right? Failing to see the positive in that. No, you made the right choice. If you made that choice, it will be more detrimental. Even though the result in your head might be, oh, if I make this choice, I will become, better per se. Right? But yeah, we need to learn to believe and trust in our Master, that every choice making that we have is actually beneficial for us, even though we have no clue what the choice is, right? So it's just a shift of mindset. Like, in short of saying you can do no wrong, right? Obviously, that is something very egoistical to say, but it's actually kind of true, my Master can't do no wrong. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, okay, so besides this, is there any other questions on your list? I believe you have like a long list of questions.
Yes, I have. I
You
have
digress.
some other questions.
Right.
Yeah, something that is going around in my head is that talking to a lot of friends and seekers, I'm realizing that a lot of these people who are going or joining the spiritual path to find salvation, they are traumatized. So this is one thing, of course, that leads us also to the spiritual path, because we go through so much suffering. Yeah, this is one part of it. I have realized myself. But yeah, the question is, in the beginning, they find comfort in the path as a way out. And after some time, they recognize that their problems are still with them. So, and they can't move forward. At some point, they get stuck somehow. They can't even meditate anymore. So, yeah, what is your suggestion for those seekers and thoughts about this subject?
Yeah, Takin, you can say first.
What do you mean suggestions? Like if they have a lot of problems in their life and then...
No, like, the question is, if you see in the beginning the spiritual path as a escape,
right? Escapism.
Yeah. Escapism. Yeah. And we know that there is no escape.
Yeah.
But if you say to a traumatized person, you can't escape, then they will surely
end it off.
Yeah, drop down, because it's that this is very not good to have this sentence in your mind.
Exactly.
But so in the beginning it's okay to see it as escape, but there is no escape. But there's a point if you move on this path, that you realize that even if you tried so hard to do your meditation and you always got stuck, and then you come back to addictions, for example, or you come back to difficult emotions again, and then you start to thinking, oh my goodness, what is this spiritual path good for? I thought I can get out of it, but I can't. I'm still here with all these problems.
This is classic, right? So,
and then you start to blame Master, right?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's not perfect.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
if he's perfect, he would fix me in 1 second.
Yeah.
He
Yes,
cannot.
yes.
Maybe
Right?
Yes.
Maybe I got the wrong initiation. I got the initiation into suffering. What's happening?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this is classic. All of us have this. We call this the victim mindset, right? Where we are so fixated in our suffering that we believe everything is real and we prolong this. So like what we mentioned before, the loop, escaping the loop, requires, it's easier said than done, but it requires tremendous amount of faith and the leap of faith, or putting your own enlightenment and salvation into somebody that you only know for a few months, for example, a PLM, right? Takes a lot of tremendous courage, because it's like I'm putting my whole soul in your hands, right?
Yeah.
From a
Yeah.
mind perspective, it's scary, right? Very, very scary. But
Yeah, and your relative will say to you, "Are you sure? Are you
are you
follow a
sure? Are you
cult?"
following a cult, right? But actually, the path is not as scary as it seems, because this path is actually a path of being effortless. Now, it's very contradictory if you use the English language about this term, right? Effortless. Because actually, this path is a path of love. It takes zero or little effort to actually fall in love. But this is what actually the masters do. They utilize this aspect of love, right? And then for people with fixation into sufferings, I don't blame them. In fact, I think what we should do if we see our fellow brothers and sisters suffering, or even fellow human beings suffering, is we go down to their level and understand them from their own personal level and make that connection of love. I feel love is the most powerful force in this universe, and it can change almost anything, right? So if we do not exercise our ego, and we for a moment, for like that 2 minutes of conversation, you forget about yourself and you go down to that level and be that guy, then you can heal that person subconsciously. I'm not saying that tomorrow the person will then be skipping around being the most happiest guy on earth. No, but that person will feel something coming from you, and then the change will begin slowly and slowly and slowly. You use love as your therapy, or love as your healing tool. I believe this is quite powerful, in terms. Love is very addictive.
You said
force.
you said about the effortless, right? But there's a lot of people that they feel that they're in charge of their own suffering, their own life. They
Yeah.
don't have to let go
Yeah.
of their will, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, there's a effort way
Yeah.
that they can escape the suffering too.
Yeah.
As okay, I feel wisdom is very good tool to
Right.
escape the suffering. But the wisdom also have three kind of wisdom, three level of wisdom, I can say. The first wisdom is like, okay, you gain this wisdom when you read a lot, when you listen a lot, okay? Either from scripture, from master teaching, or you listen to the teaching, right? The second wisdom come when you understand this concept or wisdom from intellectual. You be able to intellectualize it, so you understand this level. So this is the first and the second level, right? First one is from reading or hearing it. The second one is when, okay, it sink in you. You can understand the concept, you can intellectualize about it. But the third one is the most important wisdom. This third level of wisdom is the wisdom from direct experience. And only when we have direct experience, then we learn. It's like no matter what you say, like, oh, don't touch that, don't touch the stove, it's hot, okay? You will keep telling your children, it's like, no, right? They're just like, okay, hear about it, can intellectualize about it. But if they never touch it and it's hot, it's burning their finger, they will still keep doing it. So, perfect living master or the spiritual teacher give us the tool of meditation or contemplation, so that all of these wisdom or spiritual teaching in the world can become our own direct experience. Only when they start to walk the path, then they understand and then can bring themselves out of this. If they believe that the enlightenment or salvation they have to do by their own effort, and they don't believe that anyone can pull them out of the suffering, like using love, like Takim say. So I feel, a lot of people, when they're still in suffering mode, being initiate, non-initiate, I feel they still have to find the direct experience to see for their own, how this part work for them. That's why at the time of initiation, our master always say, this part had worked for me, right? And I wish that it worked for you the same. But if you find someday that this method that I give to you is not working, permission granted in advance, you can learn from another teacher, another method, right? So this is very scientific. But no, we take this initiation blindly. We put blind faith into that, okay, master will stand by and help me when I fall or pull me out of my suffering, without making experiment, embrace this spiritual part fully and practicing it. When they make a step, even a first step to practice this, right away, I believe that the result will come. The first result will be they will feel that they're more happy, less anger, less lustful thinking. So they will see that themselves start to transform if this method is working for them. So I truly, supportive for the people who make a step and also examine, right? Practice what they got from the master. Otherwise, how they have the right to complain that master not helping them, this part is not working for them, when they not even take any step and just waiting there, wait for master to spoon feeding them, right?
This is so interesting, and it's really so amazing because I see so much in line with also with healing processes that are going like for trauma, for example, where we also have to go into the experience with our body, because 80% of the nerve lines of where we are accumulate knowledge are going from the body to the brain, and only 20% are going from the brain to the body. So we can't get healed by getting intellectual knowledge from our brain. We can only heal if we go into experience with our body. So this is so cool, because so what you are telling now is also the spiritual path. It's also an experiential. You have to go into this experience to that there will be a change then. So what pops up right now to me is if we, for example, have gone through some healing process, let's say for our body brain suffering, which comes from the nervous system. If we leave this body and get to know that this is an illusion and come to our inner bodies, so will we have the same to do then with these bodies? Are there still is there still something to heal with the inner bodies in that way?
Yes, from my own direct experience. Like I said, I went away for 10 days to observe only within myself, right? Then I can look closely in different layers within myself. The first layers, of course, is pain. You have pain on the leg, and you look at it, examine where it's coming from, what the cause of it, right? But then when all the pain's gone, I would say, let's say after the third or the fourth day, because when we meditate, we raise our energy, we raise our vibration, right? And normally those vibrations will just heal all the physical pain, the physical trauma just go away. But after a certain vibration rise, I enter the state where I become very emotional. And I think, oh my God, I'm very emotional person. All kind of things surface like anger, hatred, feel burn with emotions. And I feel the tools of this is that when you have wisdom, right? And when you have security from master, you feel that somebody backing you always, whatever you go through. So I just observe that with master. You know what happened? It's like it's come like a wave. It's coming, racing and then going away. It's like a wave of emotions come. So I understand that this is part of the problem of my sensory body. It's the emotions that come up one by one, But bear in mind that I have to completely cut off and use that, that quiet time to observe within myself, that I can see that very clearly. The first emotion come is like, okay, you're the worst person on this planet, right? And then after that, you're the best person on this planet. Both of that are unbalanced, right?
Yeah.
But after every emotion burn out, then the balance come. And when that balance come, by the Buddha teaching, he called that middle part, right? When you can observe for the middle way from that balanced state, then you see, oh my God, this is how I have to heal the sensory body then, but less all of that come up. You have to have direct experience. So the wisdom actually come after you have direct experience. So after the sensory body, come up and burn out, the next state is the mind. Oh God. The mind is like, the bubble of thought. It's like you watch the sea, right? The wave of the sea, and within that sea, there's many bubble when it reach the beach, right? The shore. Oh my God, all that bubble of thought, all kind of thought that try to pull you away from the center, make you unbalanced. How to heal that? The same, observing with your master, observing from the eye of the wisdom, and that will burn out. Then you can heal really, truly, from a deeper level using this observer method. Okay? And this is very scientific, what I said to you. And we can actually use the same method, have the same experience that I told you. So this is also the teaching of all the path master, but they use it in different term, different way. But I feel the core teaching on the experiential level is the same thing.
That's it for today's episode. If you'd like to listen to more content like this one, please follow and like our channel. Links can be found in the description. See you next time, and thank you for listening.